Hello and welcome to the I Can Do podcast with Benjamin Lee. We're here to talk about tips and strategies to have an I Can Do mindset. Life is what you put into it. Get the most you can. Here's your host, Benjamin Lee.
Hello and welcome to episode number 70 of I Can Do with Benjamin Lee. Yes, I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, when I started this podcast back in 2019, I had a lot of fear. That fear has largely disappeared. In 2020, I got out of my comfort zone and was able to interview a number of people on the podcast. Darren Simmons, a assistant head coach with the Cincinnati Bengals, the NFL team, and just so many other individuals, nutritionist, Anna LeBaron, a book launcher, a great nonprofit group, Appian Media, Sacred Selections, two ministers, fitness coach, a lawyer, so many other people. Had about 10 interviews as a whole. I want to do something a little bit different as we move forward with this podcast. So when I started off, I made every episode season number 1. I was not really thinking about how many seasons would I have, but I have been thinking about that more. And so beginning today, this marks season number 2. Now, in the past, I have given details about certain books. In episode number 68, The Greatest Danger to Success, I mentioned a couple of books there. Well, moving forward, this season is going to be all about books that have impacted my life that I want to share with you. You know, I can remember growing up how my mom really got me started on this love of books that I have even now. We would go to the local library on a daily basis, a weekly basis. I know my sister, she loved to read, and I'm thankful that I love to read. During the summertime, I can remember at the library there would be these reading challenges, and that was always a big deal. I love to read a variety of books. I was really big into the Guinness Book of World Records, Where the Red Fern Grows, and so many other books as well. And that passion has continued. I can remember after I graduated from college at the University of Illinois that I think that summer I read about 17 books. When I was working with Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, we would talk about books quite a bit. We would be gifted books. And that was something that continued my journey in just learning the love of reading. In fact, one of my doctors that I worked with, he actually gave me a book that I'm going to share with you in this season, a book that really made me think and had an impact on the next steps that I took in my life. Now, I'm going to share a number of books that have changed my life, and I hope that they will change your life to some degree. And that's the interesting thing about books, right? How some books can resonate with certain people, and then other books can resonate maybe a little bit more. That's okay. What's important, I think, is reading. I think reading is fundamental, period. Every book does not have to be a self-help improvement book. In fact, it's good to read a variety of books. You know, I really love Marvel, and I like watching some of the behind the scene episodes, like where they interview directors or where some of the directors are just sitting at a round table and they just talk. One of the big things that they talk about are books that have impacted them with how they write a script. So, you know, books, it's so important for us to read. And there's so much value. You know, you can get a really good education if you read books. I was listening to Tim Ferriss and his episode with Jordan Peterson. Um, I don't agree with everything that Jordan believes, Dr. Jordan Peterson. But it was interesting because he was saying on his website that he has like this list of 100 books. And he said, if people read these books, they would actually get a really great education. So there's so many different, avenues that are out there when it comes to reading, book clubs, and reading is just a very easy way to learn. You get to have all of this research available at your fingertips, and it's one of the ways that I stay creative. It's a way to be more productive than being on social media all the time. So this season is going to be all about books that I want to recommend to you, books that have changed my life in some shape or form that I hope will also have a great impact upon you. There's not a certain number of books that we have to read on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a yearly basis. I was listening to a podcast, another one by Tim Ferriss, and he was interviewing this gentleman by the name of George Mumford. A really powerful, fascinating story. And I thought it was interesting too, where he had mentioned he was at some big event and someone had come up to him and asked him, "Hey, what book do you recommend?" And the first book that came to his mind was the Bible. So that really got me curious and wanting to learn more about him as well. Something else that stood out to me was that he had mentioned over the past 35 to 36 years, he has averaged one book per week. Now that is a lot of reading. That's amazing. I don't average that, and that's okay. I actually experimented earlier this year with just reading one book and trying to read one or two chapters per week to see how things might stick. And I liked it, but it also helped me to take a little bit of break of reading multiple books. And it helped me to see that I still have a passion for reading. I wanted to get back and I wanted to do more reading. So this season number 2, welcome to season number 2. We're going to be talking about books, and I'm going to share with you books that have had a great impact upon me that I believe will have a great impact upon you. So remember, reading is fundamental. And whether you read 30 pages a day, 10 pages a day, 1 page a day, just keep reading.
Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. If you are in the need or looking for more motivation in your life, feel free to check out my website, benjaminlee.blog, where you can find hundreds of encouraging, motivational blog posts on a variety of subjects. You can find all of my books, which can also be found on Amazon.com, and other podcast interviews with a variety of people. I hope this helps. Please leave me a rating and a review. I can do, and so can you. Take care, and God bless.